Yamhill City Council work session with Planning Department and Economic Development. Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 at 6:05 p.m. And we can do a roll call starting with planning, I guess.
Farlinger here.
Kent here.
Corrigan here.
Ask here.
Karen here.
Morrison here.
Davis here.
Fantastic. So our city charter requires that public comment is available at all public meetings, and since this is one, we will begin the public comment section. We have Rocky, so we should have Rocky. Did you want to speak, Rocky?
Yes,
Rick, can we limit it to 3 minutes and understand it's not a question and
but
answer?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is it appropriate for me to speak on the subject, which is basically the meeting, the intention, and I have an opinion about, we're not even prepared to begin to cover the subject tonight. So you can either allow me to speak now or I'll speak later.
Let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think the subject matter identified in the city document, review of council goals and priorities, and even the mission statement, I don't agree, I don't disagree with them at all. But obviously, an invitation to have the community show up, because these three bodies of people, which you all represent, and we're not all here, are insufficient to cover the subject matter that you desire to cover. And I applaud you for the subjects. However, in terms of the prioritization, I think two very important things. I only have 3 minutes, so two important things I believe need to be accomplished. My suggestion, and that is there needs to be a lot more accomplished in getting people interested, the community at large. This in terms of people contributing, this is a dead community. I know most of you in this room, and there are a few people that show up to the meetings all the time. And outside of a couple of council people and planning commissioner, there's no one else here that's new. And we've even got we got one city council person that I did not recognize in all kinds of meetings prior to. Now, please, that's not intended as an insult or anything else. I'm just trying to state a fact. But to me, we need to have people alive participating in their community. Because we will not have the quality if we're only talking about the same circle of people that continue, and some of them are getting worn out because it's just meeting after meeting after meeting. And you know, the old saying about many hands make the work light, and that's very important. Plus, there can be fresh ideas. The other thing is that, to me, one of the most important subject matters to tackle is, in fact, the infrastructure, because it is the foundation for the community. There's two foundations, in my opinion. One of them is the infrastructure that keeps everything alive and going, and manages the opportunity for people to conduct business, livability. And the other thing is that
Can you please restart Rocky's time? I would normally not do that, but you're very passionate, and some of this may be good for us to hear before this meeting. If everybody else doesn't object.
good for me.
Okay. Thanks, Angie.
The other thing is that we absolutely need many people involved. Well, there's supposed to be 1,200 people in this community, or nearly 1,200 people, whatever the number is. And out of that number, both inside and maybe a few outside, that have an interest in this community. Some of them have backgrounds that would absolutely floor us in terms of their experiences, their training, their education, and their ability to work as committee leaders or just be a part of a community, a committee. And we spend a lot of money to take subject matter and we farm it out, we contract, and we have somebody deal with it. Just as an example, AKS, just one example, the city planner contract. We have people with backgrounds and abilities. If we could get them involved, one, we could save some money. Secondly, for the most part, what you're buying is common sense. Yes, there's a little bit of science involved, but a negative issue that is involved, in my opinion, again, would be social engineering. The people here in this community, there'd be a percentage of them might be interested in social engineering, but there'd be very many people that they have moved to this community or they've been here forever. And I'd be maybe close to one of them, almost forever, not quite, but almost approaching 50 years. And the reason why people want to be here is because of the setting, because it's somewhat old-fashioned, and it's important to preserve, that is, if a majority would like that, to preserve the heritage that we already have. But it's still important in the focus and in the priority. How can you build anything? How can you develop anything if you don't have an infrastructure to support it? We already know that we don't have a very good infrastructure because in the year 2020, there was a town hall meeting at the fire department building, and a question was asked of an AKS engineer, the one that is contracted to Yamhill City, about water, and mostly water, but sewer as well in terms of infrastructure. And some numbers were being thrown around. And I think the number was $25 million to upgrade appropriately for what is already on the design book to facilitate development of infrastructure to meet the needs of the future. Since then, we have another 57 lot subdivision, and there was a lot of question on whether or not the planning commission actually voted against it, not because they were against a development, because they felt that it was inappropriate to have a development when we didn't have infrastructure in place. And I think that's extremely important. That's fundamental. If we don't stick with fundamentals, where we're going to go off the rail. And then of course budgeting is very important. And while you're giving me this opportunity, I'll take just one little piece of latitude here, and relative to the budget. And this year's, I spoke this last year in last year's budget. This year's budget, I'm going to say the same thing. Spend your money very carefully. Do it in a way that you're going to have plenty of carryover for the next fiscal year, because it doesn't really look that great. And if you do the first half of the year and things are not slowing down and there's just money everywhere, still spend your money carefully. I don't think there's any taxpayer in the city that wants their money spent in a way where there's waste. And I thank you, sir, for the time. If you had any questions that I could field, I would, on my feelings or the whatever documentation that supports what I have said.
Thank you for your time, Rocky. Actually, that's good to hear that. But you know, I'll be honest, if we had more people in this town that had the passion that you had, these meetings would be full and committees would be full. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Introductions and meeting objectives. So we'll go around the table, just, I mean, I think we all know each other, but we can just go through that again. And the meeting objective, I think to Rocky's point, is I have set through, I know Bob has, I know Tim has, I know Ken has. More meetings than you can shake a stick at about a whole lot of plans and how we're gonna get everything done, and then nobody does anything, and we end up with a new council and new planning commission and nothing ever gets accomplished. And that, we should stop that. So I think just getting us all on the same page, where economic development wants to go, where planning wants to go, and what the council goals are, get all on the same page and then set timelines and start crossing things off. Cause I can't imagine the time where there's a reason to ever cancel a meeting in this town because we don't have anything to do, because there's plenty of work. You know what I mean? But we have to be on the same page or nobody knows. So that being said, Bob, you want to start with introductions? We'll just go around this way.
Yeah, my name's Robert Davis. I'm actually the founder of a nonprofit, Yamhill Neighborhood Association. I sit on the budget committee. I sit on the water advisory committee. I sit in the economic development committee. And I'm very involved in this city and have been for 4.5 years, attending almost every single meeting for every reason that you can possibly think of. So Mayor Corrigan is correct. We have sat through so many meetings, I can't even remember them anymore because there's so many. And yes, there's been a lot of kicking the can down the road. I will agree. And hopefully, now that we have a new mayor, now that we have a couple of new city council members, maybe we can get some things done, especially given the fact that this is I hope isn't a one-off for a work session. I hope it's just one of many, because it takes work sessions to get to the point. And there's lots of points we need to get to for sure. So, thank you.
Jenny Morrison, I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee. I've lived in Yamhill for 22 years, I think, this summer. And my husband and I live just outside of town on Adcock Road, but we also own a couple of places in town. And so we're invested in making the community, you know, all it can be, and that's what got me involved in the Economic Development Committee. I'm on the Yamhill Downtown Association. I'm the vice president of that. And with that organization, we're also doing a lot of work with Oregon Main Street, which is part of the state of Oregon's program. And so there's everything, you know, Rocky, I totally agree with what you're saying. And I would also add that the people, if we look beyond just the 1,200 people that we have, you know, in city limits, I mean, there's so many people out. I mean, that's what brought me in. I'm out, you know, and I know Ken, you're out in the limits too. So really look towards the whole community. And yeah, my husband and I bought George's place next door. So we are putting in a coffee shop and roastery there. So we're in the midst of that project.
Shop and
Coffee roastery.
roastery.
Mhm.
Hi, Perrin. And I've been here for almost 23 years, and the reason that I wanted to be on council is to speak for the people that either wouldn't or didn't feel comfortable with it. And part of the comment that Rocky made was, and I've heard this multiple times, people not wanting to get involved within the city. And in all my passing out flyers for whatever the case may be, I asked that question, why they didn't come to city council. And the response was always the same. They're not heard. Questions are asked, they never get answers, and they're just done with it. They're just tired of it. And so with you, Shay, answering questions of people. I think that's wonderful. But the people that dealt with that for so many years, they're just done coming to city council meetings. So somehow I think it needs to get out to the people within the city that there is a new city council and they're willing to listen. Something needs to happen to get these people so that at least some people come. Because like Rocky said, it's the same people. I mean, I came to city council I've been here for more than 10 years. Very rarely miss a meeting. Go to planning. You know, I went to planning all the time. I still go to planning. And it's getting worse. Don't you think? People attending?
Fewer people.
Yeah, yeah. And it's sad, actually. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
I'm Tim Askey. Been on city council since 2019, I believe, and lived in Yamhill. My wife and I moved to Yamhill in 2016. And we have a 4-year-old boy who is growing up in the community, so that's changed a lot of like how I look at, or we look at kind of the future of the city too. So it's been really interesting. That's all I got.
Okay. I'm Shay Corrigan. I'm mayor that served on council and planning commission before that. Water advisory committee have been on. I'm a planning geek. I enjoy going to planning meetings for other cities when I'm on vacation, much to the dismay of my family. But yeah, I like this little town and we moved here on purpose. You know, we chose this place and it was just like Tim said, to raise our kids. And I would really very much like to leave them with a town that they would want to come back to and be able to afford to come back to. And one of the best things is my oldest daughter actually just moved into town right across from the high school, her and her husband, her soon to be husband, to start their family. So we got one of them back. That's all I have.
Hello, I'm Kim Kind, and it looks like I signed up for, remind myself, the Economic Development Committee. So Jenny, nice to meet you.
Oh, you're on.
Yeah, and Tim is on it as well.
So, and this is for I think it was for the council goals.
Right, part of our
So
council
not
goals.
that she would necessarily be on the committee, but yeah.
I will help. Do not put me on anything else. Anyways, I've been here almost 25 years, and then I was thinking maybe with the influx of new residents, we could get more people to participate since maybe not as cliquey as it once was, which has been a problem. That's my thought.
Sean Freilinger, I moved here 3.5 years ago. Just my wife and I, and so we're in one of the new neighborhoods. And my experience with the people in the new neighborhoods has been that they're too busy living their lives to want to plug in. It's not important enough to them. And that's been, so from my standpoint, it's how do we help them realize the importance of being involved? And how do we improve communication channels? I think decisions that have happened on the planning commission, people don't come to the meetings, but at the time, there's some reasons why choices were made. It'd be good to communicate the reasons to people. And I think things like having good goals is important. How do we communicate these goals to the community?
Ken Moore, I'm on the planning commission. We just get a little platform here, so I'm just gonna take this SMART goal and look at my opinion on what might make this effective. And we heard about kicking the can down the road. New people show up and they go, okay, what's happening? Well, let's just see what happens, because there's not a nice readable document. A lot of times the documents are really old and they're really thick and maybe they're out of date. But if we created a document that was easy to read, really in bullet point, easy language, and this is what we do. it's right here in a city council meeting, new commissioner, new counselor comes in. Oh, okay, yeah. And so we propose this thing and then seek input from the community, and then it's a living thing. We may get some things done, may change priorities. It doesn't have to be in stone. But if it's not pie in the sky, kind of doable, like this is the next step, and like, oh, I can see how to do that. It's not like get grants. Oh. Real practical steps toward the things that we want. So yes, that's my little soapbox moment.
Thank you. I feel like we're all kind of saying the same stuff too, right? So I think that's a good starting point. I really think that if there's not much that we couldn't get done if we were all on the same page and all work together as a team. Because I feel a lot of times council lets down, like planning commission. Right? Like you guys spend a lot of time and energy on stuff, and maybe it wasn't even what council was thinking of, or maybe there's a disconnect because we didn't understand completely. And then things get lost. And I think this is an opportunity to change some of those things. Kind of see where you guys are coming from. So on the agenda, we would go into, so council goals and priorities. So what that is that when we had Shelley here as our city administrator, she set up a retreat is what she'd called it. And it was a time, and it actually was, I felt useful, where we all got together, the counselors, and we decided, what we were going to prioritize for the city and what we were gonna try to get done. And then we actually set ourselves dates, and some of that was pretty ambitious. Some of it was ambitious simply because we lost Shelley like a month later. And on all of these documents here, it'll say oversight at the top is like with Shelley's name on almost every one of them. So myself filling in in her role, I can't be here the amount of time that Shelley was able to be here. She was here 40 hours a week. I did put in, so my record so far is 27 hours in a week, but I also have to have a full-time job to, feed my family. So I think we all have to kind of divvy these things back up, kind of reevaluate where we are and what we think is possible. And then going back again to the agenda, so economic development would be the first thing that we would talk about for council goals. So Kim and Tim we kind of assigned those out to counselors. And it's to create a plan like community halls. They discuss plans to move more income into town, start by making the town more aesthetically pleasing. We'd introduce a well-written plan you were just talking about, and then ask for community input. I don't think there's anything wrong with the city involvement. This town's really strange in the sense that they want lots of cool new things, but they don't want anything to change. Right? So it's rough. Because we need cool new things. We need more money, but it's really easy for towns like, Carlton building and building and building. And then you get the money that comes with the property taxes and the SDCs to go pay for things. But Carlton doesn't look like Carlton did 10 years ago. And Yamhill still does. And I think a lot of us like it that way. So it's going to be a challenge to bring the town up to what a lot of people would like it to be. Like a little prettier, more economic development, and still like the old saying, right, keep it Yamhill.
I think part of our thing, like I remember I jumped on and joined this one like later because we were talking about the history aspect of it. And I think one of my starting points was to go to the Historical Society in McMinnville and just check out a bunch of their old photos and stuff that you might not see on the internet and all of that stuff. Like I found a history of the Yamhill book from, I think it's from the 60s or 70s. I think Kim has it, and it was really interesting to read because it was written by someone who was born in the 1800s. and the book was like kind of falling apart, but it's really cool. So that kind of stuff interests me. Still haven't made it out there yet.
Right.
But I am more than happy to continue researching that kind of stuff.
So,
Oh, Jenny had a,
oh, okay.
So these goals totally are in line with the Yamhill Downtown Association's goals. We are actively working on these. That's what brought me into the Economic Development Committee. And so we are part of, as I mentioned, this Oregon Main Street organization, you know, and so and we upped our level with that. And so we're, you know, committed to partnering with them. And so they provide lots of technical assistance for doing exactly what we're talking about doing, which is wonderful. So we have that backing and examples and structure and best practices from all these other communities that are Oregon Main Street communities. And so there's a lot of really good learnings there. We've had several different meetings with them. There's their annual conference in October, which is in Albany. So there's learnings from that, and there are people that are like city council members and, you know, all kinds of same roles that we have here. And then I'll mention too, as far as like the vision of the town and the commitment. And so we got, you know, the Yamhill Downtown Association earned, you know, was awarded that Main Street revitalization grant. So to help build the property there. And so that, the case we made for that was, again, like really showing like intention from the city and hope that things, you know, if we start the ball rolling, continue with what's already started, there should be, you know, we get one additional new thing going, show some intention, then that should help with the, you know, getting the ball rolling with as we work our way down the sidewalk, you know, and pull things in. So
I have a question in regards to the economic development. I went around here a few months ago and gave Bob a list of addresses of vacant, where there is either a vacant business or a business was prior and they left or for whatever reason. Is there any information associated with why businesses are leaving or why they left in the past?
Robert definitely brought that up at our meetings and we discussed that and to, you know, there's some, you know, just knowledge that people happen to have, but we got to the point of not necessarily going into research and dig up, because some people, like the owners are long gone, or, you know, to dig into somebody's like personal,
Right.
like what's your story of like, why did your business fail or what happened to you, you know?
Yeah.
So we did talk about that, but I think if we look at what is still thriving, I think that's a great way. You just look at the positive stuff. And the Downtown Association, we're doing outreach and trying to get input from the community on what do you want. And I know that that's what happened with the meetings here last year with the whole community input. So I think there's a lot of people saying what they want. There's enthusiasm. And then I think we just have to start making it happen. And then if you have the opportunity for people to see like, okay, I can actually do a business. I mean, that's what got me started with the Downtown Association. It's like, I wanted to put in a coffee shop, but I sure as heck didn't want to do it if the town was, you know, on its way out. So, you know, so things are improving. And I think with the new people in the new neighborhoods, they can be recruited. And that's part of our goals. The Yamhill Downtown Association, we've kind of like upped our vision and we're putting together new like standard operating procedures and specifically outlining things that we can do. And so there's a lot of partnership with the city that's very important and partnership with the community.
So are you actually talking to anybody? Like door to door type talking or just?
We've had that. When we have bingo, we get information from people when we have events. So we're gathering names, gathering information. But yeah, there's always more to be done, but I think it's like forward looking seems like the best. You know, there's I'm hopeful.
So do you have some insight as to what some of the businesses that people are seeing they'd like to have?
Yes. Brewery, we had the water under control. Coffee shop was identified as a ideal place. I think with the parks and, more restaurants that can appeal to people coming with the parks. We've got the cycling routes, so people where they can come and have their, taken off at Beulah Park and going out. And so just, food. And then we talked about like a hardware store, and Robert, you can speak to that. I'll quit yammering, but there's been lots of different things that people have suggested.
So I'll get back to that in just a minute. There's a few points I'd like to make. First of all, has anybody read the resolution R828 that denotes what the Economic Development Committee is supposed to be doing as of the mayor Yvette Plotter signed in the 11th day of September 2024? If you look at the document, about 3/4 of it is regarding historic districts and development of historic presence. In other words, it says, the first sentence out of it says, currently on the National Register of Historic Places, including, well, I'm sorry, I don't understand that, because the city of Yamhill isn't on any historic registry as far as I'm concerned, but there are some houses that are. But if you get down to the back end of it, the most important part on this whole document, I believe, is what it says under whereas the economic development will seek out grants for the improvement, which may require matching funds. And I was feeding Shelley on a weekly or bi-weekly basis all the grants that Andrea Salinas was pushing my way. And I started sending them to Shay because he is now Shelley. But grants do two things. They not only benefit the community, but they benefit our coffers, and they benefit the city, and they benefit the organization that's going after the grant. So to me, the first thing the Economic Development Committee should be doing, besides looking for new businesses and finding why these old businesses have left, I believe, is finding money. Money. Money makes the world go round, and we already know that the city was in a budget difficulty, the last budget meeting and the last budget. So, but besides that, as Jenny has already spoke about, the gas station, before it was actually built, I approached the owner, Paul Brewpaul, and gave him in contact with Brad Windecker, because Brad wanted to buy the property of the gas station and put in a farm supply. I'm sorry, what a beautiful thing to put in as a farm supply. Why? Because we're in a farming community, we're in the rural community, nuts, bolts, screws, things that other people can use. You don't have to go to Mac, you don't have to go to Newburgh to get your parts and stuff, whatever. I thought that was a great idea. Obviously, Mr. Brewpaul didn't want to sell, and he continued to put the gas station in, but that was his thing. But for almost 1.5 years, I've been working with the state of Oregon Parks and Recreation to see that the city of Yamhill can be on the historic register. And I found out after having them come and walk the city with us, that I'll have to do it, or we will have to do it on a all-encompass area. In other words, the whole central business district has to be one to be on the historic register.
What happens once you're on the register?
Well, there are several things that happen. No, you are people believe that can't make any changes to your building. Well, that's not true. But you will get some tax benefits. You will get tax write-offs where you don't have to pay your taxes for like 5 to 7 years on your business and on your entity. Some of these things are good, some of them are not so good, but what it does is it instills the fact that if you take a place like, I'm trying to think of it, in Eastern Oregon. No, the other way, up by Sisters. But anyway, if you build your town,
Oh, sisters.
yeah, Sisters, if you build your town like McMinnville did, it took McMinnville 20 years to become the wine capital or the wine center of the state of Oregon. It took a lot of effort and it took a lot of foresight and it took a lot of work, but it took 20 years to do it too. Whereas we have been kind of kicking the can down the road, so to speak. So, yeah, I'm in favor of anything that we can do to push this city along and make it the look and feel as Yamhill.
That was part of why we were gonna research, I remember now,
Yep.
because we didn't know
And
exactly.
if you
what-
haven't read the book, Song of Yamhill, I encourage you to read that book. There's free copies here in the office of City Hall. You can borrow my copy if you want. This guy goes into really in-depth about what Yamhill used to be, besides being the only stage stop between Portland and the coast. And the 5 hotels that were in our city, and a population of 3,200 at one point, which is a hell of a lot more than we got now. So
When was that?
that was 1886, 1889, somewhere around in there. Just about the time T&E store got developed, which was 1907.
So,
Point of order about Robert's Rules of Order, if you're not speaking, like sticking to the subject, we're gonna be here all night.
so I was actually just gonna say, that so these pieces of paper represented 8 hours of a meeting. And now we're going into the minutia of those 8 hours, which would put us here for 2 days. But so where I'm kind of thinking now is what Jenny touched on is, and if we go kind of page by page, one of the things that's in your packet is the goal, economic development, beautification of downtown.
Mhm.
Is there anybody here that would object and think that downtown looks exactly the way it should and we should not move forward with any beautification projects? Or do you think we all kind of agree that maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea? So when we look down into the solutions that we thought of and as the trees, I don't recall the FFA part. If anybody can fill me in on that? How the FFA was gonna help us with that?
I think Chris was involved with that, actually.
Okay. Next page. And then raise money to purchase lights for downtown, which we actually had talked about in years gone by with economic development or Yamhill Downtown Association. And then what we could do to encourage businesses to be involved. So there's probably things, do you have anything for the economic development that you guys are working on or would like to see happen for the beautification of downtown that would be in more detail than that? And as you can see farther down, there was also things like flower pots,
We have
things like that.
lovely flowers.
Lovely flowers this year.
Yes, we
And
do.
then,
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks to
then-
volunteers.
oh yeah,
Well-
the downtown association
Yeah.
also put in some more.
I was gonna say, lots of people that had to come together, the office
Yeah.
staff, you guys, and public
Yeah.
works to keep them watered.
You know,
So everybody's willing to do it. We just have to do it.
and I think in addition to that, I think because it's like I'm so glad we're all together because what Robert's talking about with the historic stuff, like the YMCA has looked into that. All the efforts, there's so much stuff that our individual groups have been focused on and thinking about. And so if we're not communicating, it's just like, I think we could be a lot more efficient and really.
So
knock
then
her
to the
out.
historic part, that is the next page, which is economic development, authentic Yamhill. Right, so Bob's talking about the historic district and what that would look like. and going to get the whole area declared by another entity as a historic district is cool. We could also, in 31 days, do that ourselves. Right? So we can declare whatever that looks like. The central business district, which is Iselia to the end of town, an historic area, and then we can start writing code to define what that looks like. One of the things that we came up with in our work session is authentic Yamhill, right? So yes, our town, it's like, what, late 1800s, early 1900s kind of style buildings, which is super cool, and they are authentic because they're real. And then you look what happened to Sisters, right? That is a completely plastic version of what an old West town might be. It was maybe done too far. Again, being a nerd, and my wife wanted to go see the Christmas lights in Leavenworth, and they had a planning meeting, so I went. And their town was dead. Their town is not much bigger than Yamhill on year-round population. And they have 48 staff in City Hall. They have a budget, just start adding zeros to ours, right? I do not recommend in any circumstances that we do anything remotely close to what they did there. But that being said, they wrote their code and their downtown to be authentic. They literally, if you want to build a building or remodel a building in their central business district, they give you a list of books going back into the 1940s and current of pictures of historic Bavarian buildings from Bavaria. And if you can't get a review board to say, yeah, that looks like that, you don't get a building. They gave them a list of these are acceptable building materials, these are not. And it was in some detail. Our planning department did a wonderful job, I think, in enforcing the code for the new gas station
The
building.
code that we have.
But it was the code that we had. So many people came out afterwards hammering on them, and I was on it when it started, about, well, that's not the color that brick should be, and that's not our code doesn't say what color brick should be. Also, our code doesn't say you can't have a gas station downtown. Portland's code does say you can't have a gas station downtown. They literally said in the downtown business district, no more gas stations shall be built. There's one on 3rd and Burnside. The traffic congestion that it caused, they decided that that was it, so they wrote code to say we're not gonna do that anymore. Now, that's not to exclude gas stations. You can have gas stations anywhere else you want. It just can't be downtown. I think those are things that we could do, if that's what we want to do. But I always have said this, and Cam used to work with me on this too. If you don't write down what you want, somebody else will come down and do the thing that you don't want done. Because if you think we're the smartest people there's gonna be somebody with a better lawyer and a better engineer and a better plan and more money than we have. That's gonna come in and turn our town into whatever it is they wanna turn it into. So we have an opportunity.
Well, but that's exactly what happened with the gas station, because the picture of what they had was different than obviously what ended up. But if you looked in the little teeny tiny print, and that's what it was, almost you had to read it with a magnifying glass. It specifically stated those stupid gray decorative bricks.
Yep. I was actually told by a former mayor and planning commissioner that there never can be a gas station built, and that's right when they put in an application, because we ensured that it could never happen. I go, did you write down no gas stations? Nope. Well, then it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would like to see happen that we can do right away, and I think Jenny was shaking her head pretty good. Ken and I have talked about this in the past. Can we just declare Iselia South as a historic district and start adding in language that starts to make sense to us? That can be something that we could do quickly. That's something that we can ask Walt to help us out with writing code. We can research towns that have done it well, that have tied those loose ends. And then here's the thing is that we don't have to take the whole thing today, right? We can declare it, we can add to it, we can craft it into what we want to have happen. All that knowing that if the county decides to sell that lot across the street and Joey wants to build a gas station, we're gonna have another gas station. Or Dollar General. That looks like a Dollar General. Leavenworth has a Starbucks. It does, you would never know standing in front of it that there was a Starbucks in there because it does not look like Starbucks. Their code is so good because of what they wanted to do. It looks like the rest of their town. And quite honestly, it wouldn't bother me at all if there was a Dollar General that was inside a store that just looked like the Sapphire building. You know what I mean? Like whatever you want to sell inside is kind of your business. But I just don't want a big yellow box in the middle of downtown Yamhill.
And that would take away from small businesses who want to,
100%.
I mean, the idea, and that's what the Economic Development Committee, it's like, we want to encourage small businesses to be able to serve the community. May I ask a question
Oh, for sure.
about the codes? So what, with what has just passed and the code updates that have been done, what in there is still not there that
So
we wish was there?
I actually, the authentic Yamhill language, we've been talking about, we need to define look and feel. But I think having an initiative that says we need to define authentic Yamhill, and then we start working on that, I think would be great. I think we haven't really defined that. I think the limits, when we're doing the gas station, wood and brick, we don't define what kind of wood or brick and what it looks like or anything. Height of the building. Am I missing something? Those are the primary things, the size of the signs and stuff.
We brought it up to the sidewalk, because that was code,
Yeah,
and we made them put a front door on the front, and some windows.
right.
On
And the
that
front door isn't what, a number of us thought the front door was gonna be on that divide where they cut the corner.
You were able to get them to cut the corners.
We got them to cut the corner, but
Yeah.
a lot of us thought that's where the front door was gonna go, but it's not where it ended up.
Because we didn't put it into the code. And we could have.
Well, and the glass that they have out there too, mirrored glass.
Well, because we
is
said
not-
windows. Those
Yeah,
are
right,
windows.
And that has to be specified,
Mhm.
that has to be specified
So
also
I think-
because.
We need to have community involvement, because I've talked to some people who think the windows on that thing are great. They think it looks,
Really?
they think it looks great. And so it all depends on what the community wants. We need to have a conversation.
Mhm.
But I also think, keeping in mind the historic aspect of it, and for the core, what do we want the core to look like?
So Shay, you talked about going down, how far out?
No, so that's,
The
so we
downtown.
already have it defined, is the central business district overlay. So that's
is-
Isaiah Street to Public Works,
Right.
to the end of town, basically.
Really, it
Or
goes
is
that
it- Is
far?
it Third Street?
Third Street. I think
Okay.
it's Third Street.
It's not that far, it's not that
No,
big.
no, no, when you said Public Works, because I didn't think that was
It's Third
included.
Street.
I think it is Third Street.
It's Third Street.
Yeah, it's Third Street.
Okay.
So, and then again, and the only reason being is because I was there and listened to it, and it was kind of what we're talking about with the gas station, getting away with what they got away with. So under building materials and styles and Leavenworth, again, walls, stucco or stucco-like material, stucco should have a minimal or concealed expansion joint, which will be emphasized during the project review. Wood, typically the entire building, or on the upper level, the first level being stucco based. A combination of stucco. They spell out what they want it to look like, right? So I'm not saying, I mean, Carlton has the same thing. And theirs is your window has to be at least 24 inches off the ground. Each corner has to have a cornerstone. And they very much define exactly what their town looks like, and it kind of all looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's not really what Yamhill is. But I think we need to get into some of those details with the building material and the color, you know what I mean? That type of a thing. And use some of this as just an example.
Shay, we
A
need help.
guideline.
We need help if that's, if the plan commission, the 4 or 5 of us are gonna start talking. We'd like some input. That's, because we're not gonna trying to make it up out of our heads. It won't be as good as if we get a lot of, look at the Leavenworth Code, look at Carlton Code, see what we like about it, what we don't like.
I think we need to develop a vision for what it looks like and then base the
Yeah.
authentic Yamhill.
Absolutely.
And again, that's what our committee is
Great.
working on.
Okay.
Great.
But I mean, with the code that passed, there were a lot of significant things that just passed with the new code though, right? I mean, isn't there stuff about building height
Yeah.
and stuff
So
about,
building height was just the way that the building was measured. So technically you could build a building, 5 feet taller?
Something like that.
So it was the style of measurement of the building instead of,
surfaces too mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
I think like wood in the front and
No, not on.
fascinating. Okay,
A lot of the new code update also had to do with housing. So it was residential and lot setbacks and that type of thing, ADUs. And
Well, and there's, the legislature just passed like 5 new bills that to increase housing development. And some of the concerns we have about infrastructure, it takes away the power of the city to stop things when the infrastructure doesn't exist. But I don't know for sure. I want to talk to Walt and find out, our town is small enough that we might be exempt from some of those criteria.
For sure.
I'm guessing.
So basically, until we've done a housing study, once you do a housing study, then you're held to a higher standard. Once you hit over 2,500 people, higher standards, right? So a lot of things that we did were to update code because it was the right thing to do, but we're not obligated. So this town's not obligated to grow if it chooses not to. And the thing is that puts us in a very tricky spot. There's a lot of people that say, don't let it grow at all. Don't expand the urban growth boundaries. There's not a lot of building area left in town. So, I mean, not really. You're gonna have to come up with something. You know what I mean? I don't know what that looks like just yet. But if you wanna keep Yamhill the same size, not changing much, I mean, the first thing you have to do is preserve what you have. Cause they can come and knock it down and change that right away. I don't know if anybody's driven through Jervis, but that's what happened to them. And their town just is, it's a nice little town. It used to probably be great, but now it just has like buildings that don't make sense. Right? It's just like, it's a hodgepodge of different styles and standards from different decades and centuries likely. But I think that if we take the time, tonight, I mean, we have a lot of things like water contracts and a lot of that has to just do with council. Water alternatives, those are things that we have to actually deal with if we're gonna have any growth downtown. But I think the beautification and authentic Yamhill and historic district, I think that's something that we could actually get into and actually solve or plan out tonight. So if you guys are looking at that, so research into what other small towns have done, this is on the authentic Yamhill one, the general template for authentic Yamhill. I wonder if on this, right, and I can hear Kim going this, I mean, that's a lot of work.
No.
On this lash up, it was
Great.
Kim, Tim, Shelley, and the Economic Development Committee, but I feel like we should have somebody represented by planning too. So that when you go to a planning meeting, you guys know what the goal is. Do we run into serial conversation with so if you have 2 people on the council, economic development and planning, as long as council goals are already written down, they can still provide information. Right? Like, and then report back to council without it being.
Providing information, what I was thinking is possibly assigning it to each, like the commission and the EDC, and they could be working on it in their meetings.
Mhm.
And then reporting it to council and council advising them based
I
on their
think what Jay
reports,
is
what they
suggesting-
want them to go forward with.
Is there a conflict with people from planning being on other committees or council being on other, is that what you're?
Or, I mean, cause it's really comes down to that point, just assisting the other committee.
Sending information is fine. Sending information is fine. And you can't have like the council sit with the planning commission in the planning commission meeting.
But you could still go to the meetings.
As long as there's not a
You
quorum.
cannot have
That's
quorum there.
words, yeah.
And the other thing is that it is, you should not be influencing planning in any way.
Yeah,
No.
I was actually told that you're not supposed to.
It's
when I
not
first started.
advised.
Well, I
So
go
I've
to
never
them.
I know you do.
But as they know, I specify that in fact, the last meeting I specified I was a council member, but I was there as a resident only. And I don't think, I mean, I make my comments and I'm done.
So the question is that appropriate?
To have a counselor there.
Probably depends on who you ask.
I mean, I could see it if I had never gone to planning before. But as they
that
know,
doesn't
I was
matter because
there.
you stop being a citizen and start being a counselor.
No, I'm still a resident of this city.
No.
I still have concerns.
But you're held to a different standard now. I'm not saying that you
Well, I-
can't go. I'm saying that it's a question to ask.
Well, and I guess it would be, I would question it if, I guess if I was, and and this is gonna come out wrong, but if I was threatening, but if I'm there to make a comment or have a question, I mean, do you think I've changed at all since I've been on council?
I don't
I'm
think so.
just still the same
Yeah,
as I was beforehand. I mean, I think I am, but
no, you, yeah.
who knows?
I want to make sure we're being appropriate.
I can reach out to other cities on my listserv and just get a consensus of how they handle it and get back to you regarding that.
Okay.
So, but what I heard, one of the things I heard you say is somebody from the planning commission attending the economic development meetings. Is that something you like?
I mean, I think that what's important is that we get onto the same page as to what we're talking about. And the thing is, again, if we go through each page of this, right, because we were given, what, 2 minutes on each page and we kind of moved around at the
Yes.
meeting that took 8 hours.
Yes.
We're gonna be here for 2 days. So what I'm kind of thinking, if you guys are okay with it, is to add, so we have Kim, Tim, and the Economic Development Committee. Would you guys be, one of you two be willing to meet with them to kind of go over the authentic Yamhill, what that looks like to you?
How often do you guys meet?
Every afternoon, no, I'm kidding. Once a month,
Twice a month?
once a month, although we didn't this last month because of people being gone.
When is our next?
Tuesday,
Oh, coming right up.
yes, which I know I have to the agenda. Gee, and on our agenda too, we are seeking more members. And one of our things that we outlined was having somebody from planning commission be on, right, Robert? On the committee, so we would have
August
to
5th.
be on the committee too, like if it was possible to get, and Dustin said he wanted to do that, although he's busy right now, so. Anyway,
August 5th at 3 p.m.
And then, so everybody on council, are we still clear on what we talked about from the meeting and like, this is what the direction we want?
For this one?
Yeah, well, I think for this, yeah, at least for the beautification of downtown, I mean, we talked about plant trees, raise money for lights downtown, encourages business to be involved. And then for the authentic was Economic Development Committee and Council to hold a work session and brainstorm, which we're doing. Volunteers can research to see what Yamhill used to look like. That was Tim's deal. City staff can help, keeping things within code and expected criteria. So I think developing what we decide a historic district is, that's code that needs to be discussed with Walt on. And then I guess, so the next thing would be, maybe even for tonight, is how authentic do we want it? Like, you could go all the way back to Old West, like wooden sidewalks, or you could say, right, I mean, you could.
Wood, you mean dirt?
Well, I mean, mud would be a problem.
Mud, yeah.
Dirt.
I don't think that it needs to go that far.
I think it's restoring the existing buildings to as best as you can, and that's part of like the historic, so for this grant that we got, it's a revitalization grant, and so it's not gonna be happening in the next 2 years because the state didn't pass the budget, but if it's a part of the money can go to either new construction or revitalization of an existing building, and they have strict, like historic, like national standards on adhering to the original spirit of the building. And so there's a lot of good information about that. I mean, this is through the Oregon Parks.
Just keeping on agenda wise, is this a topic that should go to we should be talking about this at the economic meeting?
Well, I guess,
Or do we want to talk about it now? 'Cause I-
You're
I-
asking what it wants. to
So
look like.
it's kind of tough because I've abandoned all hope on us getting through all of it,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's just not gonna happen.
So I have a question in regards to the existing buildings. Has anybody ever looked at old pictures
Yeah.
of what these current buildings look like?
Absolutely.
What they looked like back then,
So,
and how do they compare to what they look like now?
so what I was gonna propose is we take some of those old pictures. We come up with a standard base for authentic Hill based on those. And then, I don't know how many of those businesses or owners of buildings, are open to doing anything. If they had a grant, would they be open to it?
We have talked, the YDA has talked to various people, you know, who own buildings that are, you know, in the heart of town. And there's been, because with grants, you have to have the matching funds.
Oh.
And so that has
That's
been
looking
the
to
problem. And so it's just that problem with the money, that we have interest from different people, but
So my thinking was, if we ever get somebody who's interested, we'd have the pictures and we'd have new development match what it used to be.
yeah. And I'm,
The other thing is you can get creative. The $3.5 million grant for the water tank. We asked Business Oregon if they would help us with it, and then they did. So I think was our matching on that was little to nothing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there's opportunities, but the thing is, there's also a stack of grants that thick. So you have to find the one that meets your needs, and then you have to be good at writing it. We could use AI to help us.
Shay, can I just, to get what we want, if you would talk to Walt about Leavenworth, Carlton, what has been done, and it's on the books and it's withstood some sort of challenge probably. Because with us, Walt is very subservient to you as the city council. And he also, just to let you know, when we said in the new code, we said, no, don't take out that one line that says in the character of, yeah, no, leave it in, leave it in. Okay, I'll see if it can pass state, whatever.
Was it left in?
Yeah, it's in, but reluctantly by him, because it was a little bit, well, it's mushy. So if you would really direct him that this exists and we want that,
I will tell you this.
please go work on that.
To your point,
Yes.
I asked Walt
Yeah.
yesterday if he would like to attend this meeting if he planned to. And he goes, you know what? I would like you guys to come up with what you want me to help you do.
Yeah.
He goes, whatever the vision is that you come up with, we'll find a way to make it work, or I'll tell you why it can't. And then he gave a big sigh and he goes, I suppose I'll have a lot of work to do.
Good.
Yeah.
So once we get feeling like we're in sync with you and we take it to Walt, we want, you know, some gravitas from elected officials, ones that control the budget. He's very attuned to not spending more money than you want him to. Then he just needs some marching orders in my mind. Okay.
I think working together like this also gives an opportunity to spend less on, like, if we're all doing the same thing, you're spending like a little bit
Yeah.
of time.
For sure. It would speed that along. The other thing that we do have to be careful of is respecting staff's time,
Yeah.
right? Cause I mean,
Well, same
like,
thing.
oh, we could have meetings all the time and then Angie's here for 12, 14 hours a day, to babysit us, right? So, and that's one of the things, so if we decide that we're going to do a lot of these types of meetings, one of the things that we might need to do is to find somebody or appoint somebody or volunteer or voluntold somebody that they can do the recordings for the meeting. I mean, we can get a training, so she doesn't have to be here for all of this stuff.
I thought it had to be that.
I don't think it has to be staff, does it? They just can't be part of can council run their own meeting if they wanted to?
Their own secretary.
It makes it a little dangerous though, because she knows stuff.
Can we call you?
But so anyway, yeah, I think so. Let's get some clear direction for Walt.
Yeah, clear direction to Walt.
To Walt. Yeah,
It comes through.
that's what I meant to say,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, tell them what we want to do. And council we talked in the past, we talked at the goal setting. That we want downtown to look authentic. And authentic, would you guys not say is a historic type look of what we have in town? So, I mean, if anything, I think that we can ask Walt and right away. to do the historic district, the CBD becomes a historic district. And then we start to look at code with you folks and Walton legalities of what we want to do. And I would hate to ever have it be where it was so restrictive. You know what I mean? That it discourages people.
Yeah, there's-
100%. And we looked into, when our committee first started, we looked into Carlton, Leavenworth, Sisters, all kinds of towns. And so we have that kind of information, but really, so what we kind of decided was like, we definitely don't want that. We want to keep it, you know, so it's like pull out bits and pieces, but just describe what that is. And then allow for some, you know, you don't want to have it too restrictive that people who want to put in a building won't do it. So I'm like here thinking about, okay, the plan that we have,
Oh, gosh, I didn't think about that. What are your plans look like?
big modern building.
Is it really?
No. No, no, but I can show you, but it is, but it's metal sided, wood in the front, metal sided, it's the same shape as the Larson house.
Okay,
And then metal, because we got the Quonset, we've got the fire station, and so the siding is metal, but the front is, wood. And then windows that look kind of like the Larson house windows, so it's.
so, but I think that falls into what we're talking about as authentic campus. Somebody's gonna complain, so you know.
Oh, of
Like,
course.
of course, right?
Sure, but it's going to look interesting and fit with the vernacular and not look out of place.
It'd be interesting, and this, we could do this aside,
Yeah.
but for you to come up with, when you sat down with somebody to come up with that, how did you come about that with those things? What guidelines did you follow to try to make it fit what you felt was authentic EMM?
Like our house, we built our house with the same.
Yeah.
idea.
So, just on the side note.
I'll show you.
So we have due dates that are on here as options. So research, see what other small towns have done, create a template of authentic EML.
What page are you on, please?
So this is the goals, economic development, authentic EML. I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between the beautification of the downtown and the authentic EML.
Yes.
So I think that it's great. We'll let Walt know that we want to move in a historic district, but the authentic part being certainly not so manufactured, right? That just to preserve, and if it's gonna be rebuilt, have it be something that looks like it was built here when that was built. Right? So similar building materials, and I think that we can go through and I think through committee decide what those materials are. I think we could, as far as the designation of it, I mean, I just don't see any reason why we can't just put that on planning to do that at the next meeting. Right, so let's just like, that's one thing to mark off the list. That's been done. It's an historic district. What does that mean? I don't know yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's a Yam Hill history. We define our own, not following a state thing. We'll just, from our perspective, it's a historic district. Yeah.
And then so then we set the building code, and you know, whatever, the codes were just set. But then within those codes, then what does it look like? And I think that's what we need to determine, because I think that's where we all got bit in the butt with the gas station by some people's opinions. There's other people like, I mean, yeah, I've known a couple of people that are like, I think it's great. And they kind of did a little fake Western facade.
How come everyone doesn't do that then? Like, is there anything you can think of that would?
Well, some people are more concerned with the growth of the town.
Yeah, oh, no,
Economically, so they're like, whatever you wanna bring in, bring it in.
yeah, but like, I meant like the DIY historic district, like our own,
Yeah.
like, cause. Is
That's
that a
something we
common
should
thing?
probably ask Walt if there's any issues around that. I can't think of a reason why we couldn't do it ourselves, but.
Yeah, absolutely, I think you can,
That's what we researched and uncovered as well.
and it can be done.
Yes, you can.
Because you're just saying, we just don't want it to look like,
During the history of our town,
Yeah.
now, this is not like the whole because the town is far gone and we're not, so it's like building by building, we can't have the whole thing solid historic district because of, you know, like National Historic Registry, because it's all mishmash. Yeah, so we can say it's a historic town, we're honoring that. We can adhere to what we want to have as a town, And we can have signs up and it's like, welcome to Yamhill, we're a historic whatever, and then that's what we're honoring and then. But it's not like there's then the restricted, you may not, touch the building or do any, changes like for historic things, so.
We wouldn't have any of that.
No.
So we define
No.
whatever.
Right, yeah. So, but then it comes back to like, does it look like it's supposed to? And what is it supposed to look like? Is like, would you see that in Yamhill?
Right.
Right? And again, like I said, these guys up in Leavenworth, they've got a list of books. So it's pictures of old Bavarian buildings. If you can't find a building that looks like what you want to build in these books, they just tell you no.
I think that's cool. I
Yeah.
really do. I really do. I think
That's restrictive. I get that. But here's the deal. Nobody has built since the sixties a building in their central business district that anybody was mad about. Right? Because they defined exactly what we want. I do not recommend that path for Yamhill. I think that would be awful to have 17 hotels. But they're getting what they want because they put in the time to tell people what they can do. Right? And I know, I mean, you're still, no matter what, you're telling people what they can do. You can't build your Dollar General, it can't be
But they can pick
yellow and
choose.
it can't
They can
be.
pick and choose what they want it to look like
Yeah.
out of the existing information
Yes,
that they have access to.
right, because you can't tell a company no.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
If they buy it and they want to put that business there and it doesn't fall outside of code, I
Yeah.
mean,
There's another side to that. When we have things in place that people can get a vision of, businesses will want to say, that's cool. I want to come be
I
part
wanna
of that
fit
cool
that.
place.
yeah,
So it will become attractive. It won't just be a no, it'll be, okay, how can we fit in here because it's cool?
Especially once.
So I think it's viewed as a positive.
Now, it may take 20 years, like Leavenworth or whatever,
Yeah.
to get that transition, but things will change once you start. So-
right, but then again, here's the thing, is a rich guy from Sonoma can come up here and buy that whole block with a Sapphire building and A1 logging and Larson House and T&E, and he could put up a hotel.
Yeah.
That doesn't look anything like Yamhill,
Mhm.
and then the whole thing's over anyway. But that's why we gotta get on it, right?
Well, be there on Tuesday. My plan is to be there.
Excellent.
Here.
Good, because I'm on vacation next week.
Short speech. I think the most important words I've heard here tonight were spoken by someone who represents what she said. I am hopeful. Jenny, Robert, and the people, Kara still working with you.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Higgins is still advising you.
Yeah.
Okay, he's available.
For the one, yep, oh, totally.
I've been here, people were throwing down their chips on how long you've been here. Now, I haven't lived in town, but I've seen a lot of mayors come and go. There were some times when things got done outside the box. Oftentimes, it's just hard to run the box, right?
Yeah.
Let alone, this is an opportunity. Jenny and the people with her, Kara, the people that have this, let's have fun. Let's make this a fun place to be. This is new.
Yeah.
So I am hopeful. I am really hopeful that, I haven't seen this. I've been here 45 years. So it's beautiful what you do. The energy you brought, the intelligence you have, the work you're willing to do. It's really unusual, and we have a great opportunity with people like us supporting you, listening to you. The grants, the paperwork, the things you've learned, the people that you've brought in, the consultants. You're figuring out how the machinery works. I don't know if we've had that for a long time. I mean, I'll throw down a name, Chuck Mitchell, interesting guy. He figured out how things work and he got some stuff done. You know, when he was here, outside just running the box. So it happens. The right people come up. It's people, it's personalities. And now's our time. I just think with you and the involvement, this is unusual. You'll say there's not enough. This is critical. It's way more than nothing. I think it's beautiful. I just really am grateful.
Thank you. We're excited.
But, and I think that energy can be infectious.
That caffeine.
That's right.
Well, I got it from them.
If we end up defining authentic Yamhill, I think it's a natural marketing tool to get people interested in the town, what we're trying to do.
Keep It Yamhill is the logo of the Yamhill Downtown Association. And we got t-shirts, cups, And, but that, it's like, that's the thing, because it's like, we were like, I wasn't around when that name came up, but it's like, how to like, dude, it's not Carlton, it's not this, it's like.
Yeah.
Keep it the same, but then, you know, keep it fresh.
Well, Portland's weird, so you might as well be keeping it yammy.
I think they lost track of what they were talking about. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, I love that you brought that up, that we have hope. But I mean, the thing is, we have to have hope and action all at the same
Yes, we
time.
do, but we've got people that are engaged, they've got traction. They've got knowledge, they've got energy, they've got brains.
All right, so what I'm proposing in the interest of time is when we look through the rest of these things, that water alternatives, that is definitely something. And that's something I'll talk about tonight before we go, probably water contracts. Inventory of the Airbnb, that one's done, there's 3,
Yeah, oh, 3.
potentially 3.
Oh, really? I was looking yesterday.
You find more?
I found 2.
Okay, well, 1 is kind of on and off, but
Okay.
cost savings. EOPs, that's a lot, and the Civic Center,
Easy.
Emergency Operations Center, and Communication Plan. I'm not entirely sure that that has much to do with economic development planning. Right, that's the stuff that council needs to be, and we've already gone through and decided at our meeting who was gonna be in charge and what we were gonna do with that. So my proposal is that we take some of these, if you guys are okay with it, and put these into council reports and at council meetings. So we can work through them. These things that we're talking about with economic development, the beautification of downtown and authentic Yamhill, maybe that can be just what we did tonight. I mean, I feel like we've succeeded if we can head down a path of actual.
Yeah, can I make a comment though, in regards to the beautification of downtown? And I'm gonna use me for an example. When I moved out here, I drove down 240. And as soon as I got at the 25 mile an hour, because I had never been out here before. Because I was actually driving and all I could say is, oh my God. All the way down 240. And it's because people were not taking care of their homes or their property. And like I say, those are the only words that came out of my mouth. Because I thought, what in the world? Why don't people care about what their yard looks like or what their house looks like? And it's funny because the Victorian over here, you know, that was a beautiful home. I don't know who's living there now, but it is just going downhill quicker than I could even believe. And I'm shocked at that.
So that's something that we can, so that's not anywhere on here.
Well, but I thought somehow maybe, I know it's the downtown area, but the rest of the city needs to be included in that, because that's what you see when you come in here from the other parts of, you know, Gaston or Newburgh or Mac or wherever.
So there's already stuff for that. I'm in violation of the code enforcement on that because my yard looks like Vietnam right now. And that is something that we're working on, and that's something that staff is working on and actively getting people, like we're having conversations, phoning people, asking them to cut down their tree, or, you know, the chief of police asked me if I had a business license, and I said, for what? He says, the flowers you're growing, it has to be a commercial operation because I have so much of the Queen Anne's lace in my front yard. I haven't had time to do it. I thought I was gonna be able to leave today and go mow my grass, and it did not happen. So, yeah.
I've got a grandson you can hire.
There's some risk in a beautiful town. It's called gentrification, and when property values rise, and then people come in with more money,
Mhm.
and then they're not maybe struggling. They can pay a water, I mean, lawns are brown because water is so expensive.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. But, you know, it's a tricky thing. Beautiful implies gentrification, high property values. And so that's not yelling. So we kind of walk a fine line. But yes, it's good to get people to obey the code. Well, I've got the floor. I didn't point fingers at everybody I wanted to. We, right now with Kim and Angie and Kara, we have a staff, the caring, the time they put in, how fast Angie has learned. I know she's way smarter than I am. That's also part of our opportunity.
Oh, my God, we don't have any of it. None of this would have happened at all, wasn't for Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, you know what, they do a lot of work. I mean, and a lot of times, I mean, you know, the public work guys work their butts off. But a lot of times, they're the ones that took the phone call, put the thing together, the grant money, right? And so, yeah, they did the construction part. But if it wasn't for the staff, that never would have happened in the first place. And they never get thanked, ever. So it's important, and thank you for
So how
thanking
much
them.
AI did you use?
I used AI the other day, today.
Andrew Logo.
So I don't disagree with you, Patty. And so that can be, even we can have another, like a private meeting on code enforcement and what that looks like. And if we want to update those things, and we can direct planning at some point.
I don't know if, I think we talk about, we had somebody talk. Was it you? Okay.
I did.
Somebody brought it up at the last planning commission meeting, and I think our concern was that was an enforcement issue.
Because the code's there.
An ordinance that's not a, but it's not, I'm not sure if it was the name that won't.
It's not entitled 10 or 11.
It's not entitled 10 or
So
11.
it should be
It's
an ordinance.
a city municipal.
So it doesn't have planning. It's just enforcement.
Yeah.
So that was a council
ordinance.
that created an ordinance
Correct.
that has to be enforced by the city.
Right.
Yeah. So that's your fault.
Yes.
But I do have a list of 33 or something that I was just working on yesterday. I just it stopped in the middle of it. So I have a lot of people, I do look around often and try to.
Well, I have to make
send
a
out
comment.
notifications to people.
I have to make a comment in regards to that, because I went to Newburgh today, this morning early, and when I came home, I noticed probably half a dozen yards that were horrendous, but now they look much better. So that's a good thing if you have sent out
I don't know,
letters.
I don't know if I can take credit for that.
Yeah, no,
I
I-
do.
Yes.
I don't.
And that was fair.
Yeah, no, there's
240.
a few of them.
That one was taken care of, and because of these guys,
Across from the.
and mine's right behind it, so I'm gonna have to get on that. All right, so
So
yeah, if
are
we push
doing
this off onto city council, we focus on these things. One of the things on the beautification, it's like the trees and stuff, but I do appreciate Ken's point on if you start making it too pretty, then do you really lose Yam Hill? Cause I mean,
Make it an HOA.
right?
Oh, God, no.
You'll have people leaving town. Make it an HOA.
Well, yeah, but again, I mean, if we're just focusing on the central business district, right? There's only a couple houses in that.
No, we're the other side.
Are you on the other side of Azalea?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're not.
We're
I
the,
thought you were on this side of
We're
Azalea.
the other
we're
side.
the other people.
All right.
Yeah.
Living
We
on
don't
the other
apply.
side.
So some of the things that we were talking about, right, was on the beautification aspect. So like, I don't know, straw poll, anybody opposed to trees?
Only as long as they're not going to do what McMinnville has faced with their trees and tearing up their sidewalks and the millions of dollars that they're
Yeah.
going to have to spend to do it.
So I've done a lot of research on trees in the last year. That's the thing that people come to and complain most about, is like, why don't we have trees? And I would like to have trees. So choosing your right tree for the city. How long are you gonna leave that tree in, and what's your plan? So McMinnville planted a bunch of trees 30 years ago, and every bit of research I've seen is at 20 years, cut your tree down dig it up and put in a new tree.
Hmm.
Because trees grow and roots get bigger and sidewalks can't take it. One of the things we looked at was the cost of these trees. And if you buy big giant trees to start out with, it's big giant money. If you buy smaller trees, smaller money. There are trees that you can plant into a sidewalk, that their root system is such that they have a basket basically with an open bottom, causes the roots to grow down the first 3 feet and then grow out, less likely to heave. The metal grates that go around those trees for municipal, those are 5,000, 6,000 and up. For the good ones, you can find them really cheap, but they're not what should be used on an ODOT highway. One of the things that they're going to in a lot of towns is now pavers. And the reason is some of these trees, the ones that have the roots, tend to grow down before they grow out. Any roots that grow at the top can actually, if you have pavers at the same level as your sidewalk, if that tree root starts to pop up, it pops a paver. The paver comes out, the tree root is cut away, the paver is set back in flat and level.
Where the
Well, they
trees
also-
going?
Along the sidewalks in
Is
the downtown.
Is there room?
There is, Carlton got away with
I
it.
feel like you get pushed out into the street by that inflatable tube guy.
I think the tree takes up less room than the inflatable tree guy.
Well, but they also have trees that, and I don't know how big they are, but that you can actually put in pots that grow. They're trees.
Yeah.
They're full-on trees that just sit in, and then you don't have any issue with roots and the sidewalk and all of that kind of thing. I mean, that has to be a whole lot less expensive than dealing with digging up a tree every 10 or 15 or 20 years.
So so again, if we're gonna be talking about like the trees and stuff, but nobody's opposed to trees.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm absolutely for trees.
Okay.
Question with the,
Road trees.
with the grant that you guys were applying for, that were like for the transportation stuff, and part of that includes things about with like pop outs and stuff. So would this be incorporated into that transportation vision?
I would hope so, but the thing is that, I mean, it has to be all of our visions, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I do think that we need to be on the same page with what you folks want to do. I mean, I assume trees fit into yours. You said yes to trees.
Yeah.
So then I think at that point, we can probably put somebody on trees to figure out what's the best way to come up with that. Rob Sloan owns a nursery outside of town that he leases from me, that he said he can find his trees at a very good price, and he would be a free consultant to get us started.
The right kind of tree and all that.
Right, and so he'll sit down and explain why pots, why not pots. I didn't talk to him about pots.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, is that in the street?
No, that's just some random picture I
Wrong
pulled up.
side.
Yeah.
But it's on the sidewalk?
I was finding that most of them were kind of small, but this is a good size,
Yeah.
decent sized tree.
We could have a mixture, a combination of some in pots and some.
Yeah, so let's, I don't know, so on this one, it says, well, good, Kim and Chris and Shelley, we're working on that beautification of downtown. If I become Shelley, and then we, bring in Rob. Does anybody else want to help out with trees?
I will, I don't mind.
So I'm thinking we have an older version here.
Yeah, I took Shelley off of your guys's.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, this is the one that I actually write out, yeah.
You got the fancy one.
I did, this is the one, all the copies, I guess, are started.
Trees do lots of things besides provide oxygen. Look what Carlton does with them. They light them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how beautiful is that? I mean,
Well, and it helps raise money when they do it in the October, it raises money for the breast cancer,
absolutely.
and I think that's neat, and
And it provides shade. Cool your asphalt and your concrete,
lights for downtown, we were talking about, you guys spend $6,000 a year to put up lights for 6 months and then take them down. Is anybody opposed to the lights? I like the lights.
I think they're nice.
I would love for it to not have to fall on the Yamhill Downtown Association to
Mhm.
pay for that, so more partnership on that, or discuss.
Okay, so if we put that, and then, so it says in here that we're supposed to meet with you folks on the beautification aspect. Planning doesn't see any issues that I wouldn't imagine. So let's just make that the thing. So Tim, you wanna help out? Patty, you wanna help out
With the
On
lights.
which one?
on the beautification part? So we would have to be very careful if we had more than two people that we're just exchanging
Yeah, I-
information, not thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts.
So we can't have a forum, we can't sit there outside of a public meeting and be like, now what type of tree would we like? Cause that's actually, right? You can't say that.
No,
So maybe it is better to have only two council people on any of these things.
How many were you?
How about just the council be the point of contact for them to reach out to them, let them know what their progress is, or.
In support if needed or something?
Yeah, so for the economic development, you mean? Angie? Is that what you meant?
For any of it?
Yeah, well, you were talking about trees.
I nominate Robert.
Just about trees?
I said I nominate you as the tree.
What's that?
she wants to nominate me as the official tree guy.
For the, on the economic development. Committee.
Okay.
I can help support the lights if needed.
Yes.
All right, so. You want trees? I'll do trees.
I am the tree guy.
And then, what if, so lights, who wants lights? You're pretty good with the lights. Yeah, no, okay. Tim, Ken, Jenny.
Because we got the YDA as part of the lights.
Yeah.
It's like our dang bingo that's happening.
I'll
We gotta-
get in touch with you to get the whole big scoop on how it all works.
And then I think we were pretty,
Okay.
with the authentic Yamhill aspect. I think the first thing, right, is to define what that is, and I think that we've kind of gone through that. Is that something that you guys would want to take on with planning, is to define what authentic might be?
Will, I think they need to come to, I mean, we're
We need to be
willing,
educated.
yeah, we need to educate what that
They got
is, but as far as,
input,
yeah, as far as updating the code, definitely us.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
We just
You
need,
Sorry.
EDC informs you guys on what we recommend.
And I'm hoping you'll have something for me on Tuesday.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda.
so we had a brainstorm at our last meeting, that was the first thing that came up.
Oh,
defining that.
okay. Great.
What else came up? Over here.
Coming up, just asking about ways of helping with the Main Street initiative. The park master plan discussion, so we know that's happening. Just traffic safety issues, because we know there's been conversation about that, so if there's anything we can do to help with the code related to that. Short-term rentals came up. There was one that came up, this is food truck regulations. Our thought was that might be a problem without we're looking for a solution without a problem at this
For now.
point, for now. Visibility at intersections, there was a discussion about the flag, but that we decided that was an enforcement thing, the flag at the gas station.
And it's not permanent.
I know, I looked. And they're not on the sidewalk.
It's been moved too.
Yeah, they're actually
Yeah.
just off the sidewalk.
Yeah, they moved it back a little bit.
So, historical preservation, anything we can do to help with that kind of goes along with it. And then the last one was lighting ordinance. We weren't sure where that was at, if it was, if there's anything more we need to do with it or not, but that was the last. So we came up with those 9 things things to be aware of for us.
So the lighting ordinance is an interesting one, right? Because I know you guys put a ton of time and energy into it, and it was good work. I think where council was concerned was, you know, and a lot of it came out, right, was the streetlights. I don't know what it would cost the city to do that.
So we took that.
You took that out. Yep, and then like the security lights, that got changed. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just something that we need to put on
Put on the agenda, revisit.
to revisit and have a discussion about, because I think it was close to passing.
It was on the second reading. We were just, the the thing that stopped us up, I believe, is when we were doing the code amendments, Doug Rux had mentioned that it's possible that we may need to tweak it just to fit into the new code or the legislative amendments that we just passed. So we were waiting. We put it on hold until after those legislative amendments. And now it needs to be revisited.
Okay.
So I will put it on the agenda.
And actually, Walt has to deal with that then.
So I just was writing down, I'm gonna ask Walt to check the lighting ordinance with the new code.
Right.
And so then he can write a staff report or recommendation for us if that, that there's nothing in the new code that would change what you folks have done.
Right.
And then we can talk about it at the next meeting and, hopefully, because, get that.
No, Shay, you mentioned about us being disappointed with the council. No, this is the process, and that last thing you said of getting Walt to get one more look at it before you just settle your concerns and all that. It's all right, yeah, just working, it's the process.
I just, I'm just concerned because, I was on planning when we did a lot of good work and then council pulled us now.
It's all
It
good.
was disappointing sometimes. So.
I don't think anybody's hit disappointment. Yeah.
No, we want to know what's going on.
Yeah, we
But
want
now we
to
do.
know, yeah.
So it's great, now I know, and I'm like, yep.
Well, I got mad enough I ran for council. I got mad enough I ran for council. So. I don't know, where do we think we are on this if we were just focusing on the beautification and the authentic? Have we made good steps? Do we have a good direction?
We have some action items, I feel like.
Start. I'd say we need to revisit the goals that we have set today for economic development, the trees and the beautification and all that. We should revisit that in another few weeks. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Just to find out what
Just to
the
find out
status
what's
of
been
whatever is.
done, what's been processed.
I think that's a good idea.
The economic development can report that to council at the
Right.
meetings.
So my recommendation is that, so we have the stuff that you guys were doing, and then with the trees, the lights, the planning, the wall, let's just set that to be the date. Like, let's get reports back on all this, on where we are with this at the next council meeting. Don't you think?
That's
Yeah.
only 2 weeks away.
That's only 2 weeks, yeah.
Actually, not
You
yet.
gotta figure out what kind of tree to plant.
Well,
You
they
know what I
gotta
mean?
talk
Like,
to
that's an
somebody.
afternoon.
They gotta talk to somebody to find out what the best tree to plant,
For sure. And then if
doesn't
we,
end up like the tree that we have next to our house.
and if nobody likes the tree by the time of the council meeting, say we had a lot of discussion about trees, we're not there yet. And then you're right, but we have accountability, right? And then, right?
I think you could probably make it a standing thing to have updates on these.
I think so too.
Okay.
I feel pretty good about that. What do you think?
I
Good,
think it's amazing.
good. And then we get all this crap. I'll start sending emails about this.
Okay.
The rest of it,
I'll be sure to read them.
yeah.
Shay, we've really gone over these 2 pages.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to be, or they could be reworked according to our priorities, our discussion,
Mhm.
and updated
Yep.
somewhat.
I think so.
And get into that form that it's like, okay, what is it we're supposed to do again? Okay, let's work on it. What's the next step?
I like the tasks at the
Yes.
bottom,
Yeah.
and so there's some of the things we've talked about, add to that.
If you guys, whatever projects you're working on, update those sheets and send them to me, I'm happy to update them. And send them out to everybody, so it's all neatly typed into the updated PDF form. Get your.
Does anybody feel like, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? That maybe these two things could actually even be combined.
I thought they were the same thing, just on 2
It is pretty much
pages.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's gonna do that? You wanted input. And according to what we've kind of come up with as our priorities tonight, who's gonna mush these together and put our priorities and update? Who's got the
We can do that at our economic development committee meeting. We can discuss this,
Identify your tasks.
item by tasks,
Update here.
combine it into one.
Great. Great.
Yeah, I feel like these first two really tie into economic development.
Once again,
The planning department's what protects it.
thank you, once again.
Yes.
In our spare time.
Yeah,
Cool, so you guys are you guys meet on Tuesday?
Yes. 3:00.
Okay. Tuesday at 3.
The first Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
I have vacation all week.
And this month, next month, it'll be, preceded by the National Night Out.
Right, which we have a lot of crap to do. There's a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And it will never end.
No, it will never end. But I feel again, like Jenny and then mentioned is hopeful. I think this is good stuff. It's a good start.
Talking about meeting again, I'm talking about using, goal number 4, goal number 5, goal 6, 7, 8,
you lost me.
9.
I think they said that was, council was going to be working on that.
7, 8, 9.
Are you talking about the page that says council priorities?
He's
I was talking about all 9 goals,
Oh, yeah.
and, Angie just said, 7 of them are gonna be council.
Yeah, I mean,
Council may be directing
yeah, so
on those, but they're gonna be.
because of the matter of fact, I mean, is it a 7:45?
Yeah.
Right, so we're in an hour 46 and we touched on a couple of topics that were listed and a lot that weren't. But as far as the emergency communication plan, EOC, the Civic Center, I mean, that's a building to house some of that. Cost savings, I mean, that's budget committee. So the thing is you can ask people and council, we can send out information, we can discuss this in the meetings, like I was saying. Where we can start figuring out how we're going to tackle some of these things and get back on track to where our goals were.
You can also tie that one into all the others, like just below the cost savings.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing is, I mean. You have, like, there's the water alternative stuff that's going to your water committee and
Mhm.
stuff like, so it's not totally on council, but.
Right, and so the water committee, so that's something that I need to talk with staff about and what that's gonna look like going forward, because we have a lot of things that are happening right now. So this morning I was at a regional water authority meeting. And so that's tying all the towns together. That's the 70-year plan, right? And so we don't have 70 years of water. So what do we do between now and then and that whole thing? So there's a lot that's going on with that. And then I think at some point, it's probably in the next few months, probably a good idea to have at least maybe a quarterly water advisory meeting to have updates on what that looks like, and which direction we're gonna travel. We have money to do things with that, now we have a water tank that needs to be built, and we have the Merkley grant that we'd worked on for 5 years, we finally just got. And so we're studying transmission lines and, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of those things, not that we're gonna take these away from anybody, but that council needs to decide in an open meeting that's not tonight, how we're gonna do that and what that looks like, so it's the least impact to staff, where we get the most work done. Does that make sense? So we can do the work,
Yep.
right?
don't
Instead
have any
of
problem.
hiring out, asking questions, calling lawyers, we could just find out. And then we can make a determination on which way to travel. So if you guys are cool with it, I'll work on some of this stuff as far as how we can present it at the next meeting, and obviously council, you guys have these copies too, come up with whatever you guys want to come up with, and then we can discuss that quickly during the council reports. This stuff, right, she's gonna go to the Economic Development Committee meeting, kind of combine this into one thing. Bob and I and whoever else wants to help, we're gonna talk about trees. Tim and Kim are gonna talk about lights with Jenny. We're gonna talk to Walt about historic district and then how we start adding on to that. And we can just do it piecemeal. It can be one thing at a time. And I think that that's a lot.
That's a great overview, Shay. You took good notes. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, like we-
I can read them right now. Tomorrow morning, I'm like, what did we talk about?
All of
Has
this,
it?
all of this talk, you just made it
Summarized.
worse, made it mean something, so thank you.
All right, is everybody, I'm pretty happy. Andrew, you're terrified? Sweet, then we did a good job.
And one resource we have too is that, as Jason, Jason Wanford,
Oh, absolutely.
his understanding of the water possibilities, I think is very key. He's talking to a lot of people. He's learned a lot, really learned quickly. He's smart. He'll tackle anything. It's just another great opportunity we have with our personnel, our people. Personalities are really strong.
Yeah. No, we have a lot of good stuff coming up. All right, I mean, if everybody's happy, I'm pretty happy. I think we got a lot to do. You guys are gonna have a whole lot to do. Economic development, still doing all that stuff. So yeah, you call it a night, I think. And just keep pushing forward on what we just talked about, and we'll be all held accountable on council meeting night. Trees, Patty. We got trees by then.
Yeah, right.
Do I need a motion? If we're going to adjourn.
Yeah, we can just kind of take a general consensus, move it to adjourn.
Anybody mad if we adjourn?
I feel like you need one that's a little more like
Oh, man.
Presence.